Okay, so welcome to this sixth game dev stream of my cat game. So I will go over sort of what I've done since last time, and then we will work on some new stuff. So let's jump directly to that. So since the last stream, I have been working on, well, during the last stream, I was sort of working on some object editing mode, which means, sort of define what is a object in the game. And I can show how the game looks right now. So I've been mostly working on tooling since last time. Oh, I actually have the game running here. Let's close it and restart. Let's see. So yeah, so here we have the game, and it's just as usual. I can run around and jump around and stuff. So the objects, the object I was looking at making was this tree stump, because I needed to make a tree stump but sort of define colliders that were not axis aligned or something. So I've worked a lot on this tooling here. I can begin by just showing if anyone remembered how the tooling looked before, looked very messy. So I've been spending some time on doing like nice immediate mode GUI things here. So I have like my different editing modes here. You can place tiles, place objects, you can edit objects, you can turn snapping on and off, and these are some stuff for managing layers. So while I'm in the tile editing mode, I can place these tiles, and then this thing spams. I can do multi-select and put them out like this. This is broken. This is what we're gonna work on later, so let's ignore that. But so what I did since last time with this object editing mode was that sometimes you want objects that are not sort of on a grid like this, and you want them instead to be sort of be like bigger objects that maybe have colliders that aren't totally like square around this cell or something like that. So I've worked on that, which is this edit objects mode. So here we have, for example, the tree stump, and when I select something here, I can either click new, and then I would get a new. I can do this, click new here. Wait, it didn't work. Whatever. But I have this tree stump here, and when I've selected this one, I can select from a few different graphics, and these graphics just come from a folder on the in my game map folder. And then you can also select which type of thing this is. So this is just a static object, and I can have as many of those as I want. These are your static objects that also have a collider. And when you select these different things, you sort of see the collider here. So I can make the collider any shape I want now. So I can just do this like this. Like that. So this is what wasn't possible before, because before everything was this. I just made this as 4 tiles and put it, and then the collider was sort of up here or not in the correct place at all or whatever. So now I can do that, and I can hit save, and this is saved to disk as like I have a objects file which contains all these fancy things that have like a unique ID, and it says where the collider is, and it says what texture we have on there and stuff. And the reason we have this kind of selector down here for selecting the type, so this is just a static object. This could have any graphics and any collider or whatever. But for the 2 different player characters, which is either the cat or if you stepped into the rocket, then you're the rocket. Oh wait, I'm I'm confused. I'm changing. So here is the one. This is the objects that are available for editing, and this is where you pick the graphics. So for the cat, you see it says cat chosen, and for a rocket, these are just in the cat and rocket case. These are just used to sort of choose which one, like to sort of put the spawning position for those. So they're a bit blessed and special. So that's sort of a philosophical thing. Either you could have a super generic system where you everything is just an entity, and there's scripts attached to everything, and like you have in some popular game engines. But in my case, I've sort of just the player controller code is very blessed in my game. Is sort of you're in your in-game update or something, and then you decide play mode update, and then you're in some couple of different play modes, and eventually one of these play modes will update the player. So there's this nice code hierarchy, which was, when I started playing around, like many years ago when I started using Unity, that was something I missed. Like I remember asking someone when I was using that, like, because everything is just script components attached to stuff. So I was like, where is the code hierarchy? Because I was used to making stuff using like SDL or SFML or something in C++, and then you have this, your whole game is just a logical hierarchy, and then there's some graphics attached to that. So I'm trying to go a bit in between. So the important code that is very decides how your game, how technically your game mechanics work, that I try to keep sort of within the normal main loop. The main loop calls an update function that does some very specific things in a very specific order. So if you use totally arbitrary components, you get ordering problems and stuff. So this is quite nice, I think, for like small games like this, to do it more this way. So anyways, so if I choose for the cat, I choose cat here, then it will just know where to spawn that one, and it will, but the code I will run for it is actually defined in here. But for this tree stump, that's just a static object, which means it's just sitting there, and you can define a collider for it and stuff. Yeah, so that's sort of the little, and the reason I did this was so I could place the objects. Now I place this tree stump here, and we can exit the editor, and now I can sort of walk on it in a more reasonable way, and I can place it sort of anywhere. And my idea is that, the tiles, they sit on a grid perfectly, but the objects you can place a little bit like more however you want. So that's the, let's see, go back to my list. Yeah, so I can choose, oh, now this one appeared. There's some bugs in there, but it's fine. So yeah, so I can choose which graphics, and like I said, currently these graphics, with the available graphics in this folder, just comes from object art. So it's these 3 files in here. Yeah. So that's that. One little hurdle I had with all this was that, so these objects here that are defined here and that are saved in this file, they sort of live in this blessed, objects file, and those things are very authoritative, and the rest of the game needs to sort of reference the object. So that's why I wrote handle-based arrays here, because for example, my let's see here, I have static, not static entity, but I'll show you what I mean. What's it called? It's called like object. Yeah, so this is like object position. That's where this is used. The world contains a bunch of object positions, and these are used for spawning things in the world. This is what you're sort of placing within this edit mode. This is sort of what you're placing here. So this tree stump has 1, and this is the cat starting position. Okay, there's 2 for some reason. Can probably remove that one. Anyway, I could place more of these and remove them, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, the important thing is whenever you place one of these, to the world is added a object position. And then the object position must know, okay, but this object references user-defined data, like, one of the object types. So that's why it has an object type handle. It doesn't have like a pointer or anything to a object type, because this is, how to say, this is a classic problem I'm trying to keep things more, simple by just having like the object positions, and also inside the game memory, these are the object types this is the editor, the in-game representation of these things here. So it has an ID, a subtype that can be static object, cat, or rocket, and it has a texture that's currently called placeholder, that would change. But you know, these object types are all kept as a simple array. I don't individually allocate these objects because you know, like you like doing in C++ quite often when you have like everything is separately heap allocated. You quite often end up in those situations. The nice thing about doing it that way is that then you can store pointers to those object types. For if this was like an array of pointers like this, then I could store these pointers because those won't move unless, you know, I free the memory or something. So it's a bit easier to work with, because when it's like this, now I can't store like indefinitely store a pointer to an object type, because since this one is dynamic, since I can in the editor go in here and like make new ones and make new ones and stuff, then this array might get reallocated and then it moves in memory, and then suddenly the pointer you kept is invalid, right? So my the idea here is, which is very common, but there's like some articles I can link in the description about that using handles instead of pointers. So that's what I'm doing here. So for the object types, instead of storing in the object position, which is, like I said, governs where I put, for example, the tree stump in the world, instead of storing an object type pointer, I store an object type handle. So and this handle is okay, it's a distinct handle, but the handle in turn is an index plus this extra, like this is an index into the array inside the game memory, you know, of all those. I can show this one. This index is an array into this one, right? And then you just store that thing, and whenever you need to actually get the thing, then you get the pointer there and then, but you never store it. Okay. The gen here is called generation. That's just to make sure that it's actually the same object, because someone might remove it and put something else back in on the same index, but it's not actually the same thing. So what happens for these handles is that you, whenever an index is reused, you bump the generation on it. So in both the handle has a generation, but then also within the list element items themselves. So I can show object type here. The object type also has the handle. So in order, it checks, it fetches. So when I want to get one of my object type, it's called get object type. So when I want to get one of my object types, then I say like, okay, handle array. This is a generic function I wrote to support kind of this array that has handles and stuff that works in this way. So handle array get, and what this one does is just like, okay, is the index in range? Okay, good. But then it also checks, and then it also checks like, oh, okay, the handle of this one, which fetches the object type. This handle that sits on the object itself, does that one match the one we are currently trying to fetch? So it has already fetched the item at the correct index, but then it checks that the handles also match, and that will only match if both the index and the generation is the same. So for example, when I remove something from the array, then it would I see now, maybe there's a bug here. Whatever. Anyway, when you remove something, then it gets put on a free list, which is, I have here, game memory free object types. So it just pushes the index onto here when you remove, and then it zeroes out that one. The bug I was talking about is that it should probably do like something like this, old handle. So it doesn't seem to bump the generation here. So I think it should actually do something like this. But yeah, I can. old handle is blah 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 dot handle, and I can fix this later. I can finish my train of thought first here. So it removes it, and then it's supposed to bump their generation. And then if someone tried to get that one again, then the generation would match. And when you add something, it checks if the free list is not empty. The free list is passed here as well. So you pass the array and the free list and the value. And these are just general functions that I use. I for the object types, I sort of wrap these in another function call that just sends in the object type array and the free list and stuff, and then the object. Right. And so in the add case, it checks if the free list has anything, and if it does, then it pops it off and takes out the handle at that point, bumps the generation, and then puts the thing at that index to this whatever thing you wanted to add to the, for in this case, the object type. And yeah, and if it doesn't exist, then it just creates a new, then it just pushes a new thing at the end. And this is the, this appender is the thing that might reallocate this whole array. And that's why I can't just store a pointer to these, because the whole array might move in memory, right? So I made this little general handle array add, get, and remove. And I use them in at least 2 different places already, and one of them is for object types. So like I said, the object position, which I think I will rename to object instance or something. This one has an object type handle. So when I want to, like in draw world, I'm like, okay, let's go over all the object positions, and then I can run get object type, and here it takes the object, the type of the on the object position. Like I said, object position, it takes this one and runs it through get object type. Then it actually fetches the real pointer to the real object, and if that one is not nil, which it will be if the generation doesn't match or whatever, then it goes into this thing, and then it adds it to this thing I've done here in order to render objects and stuff. So yeah. Yeah, and also I can so that's sort of it about the if you want to keep your arrays simple without having them individually allocated, you will run into these problems, right? So you can store just indexes, or index plus generation, like I do in this case, is a bit more safe in case you're adding and removing stuff. If you don't reuse slots, then you could just store an index, yes. And like there's other alternatives to doing this. You can do like virtual memory tricks, where you use virtual memory to allocate big chunks of virtual memory, and then just return addresses to that. All that stuff is a bit more prone to maybe some platform specific issues, and it's a bit more complicated, I think. So I didn't want to do that. So that's that. While I'm here, I can just also say, if you watched in the previous streams, you might have seen my very complicated render object system, where in that case, I also had like a free list, and I had these slots for render objects, which is the thing that I draw in the game. I removed all that for a much simpler system, where the static entities in the game, which is like currently the tree stump, for example, all those just have a render object, and the player cat in the game, this guy, also just has a render object. And then in draw world, it just goes through all the here it goes through all the object positions, and it goes through all the static entities here and just puts them on a list. And it also takes the cat and puts that on a list and stuff, and then it just sorts that list based on the layer. So the reason I said it is, if you ever saw that before, if it looked complicated, it was because I had made it a bit too complicated. It's much simpler like this. It just has a big list. It adds them to each time you call draw world, and it sort of reuses this list, so you don't get lots of allocation. It just zeros the length and refills it and sorts it and draws it. Yeah. So that's that. So I have all talked about all this. So what I did also for the editor stuff, so I have my editor here. I have all these things. They have buttons here. So I have this one you saw me on the, you can see how I worked on this one on the previous stream. It's like a multi-state selector, and I reuse it down here to select the object type of the currently edited object and stuff. And I use it here again to select which mode I'm using for displaying which layer I'm in, blah, blah, blah. Some of these maybe should be drop downs in the end, but when you only have 3 things, it's quite nice to have them like that. So these I do with sort of my own IMGUI stuff. I'm using Raylib, and there is this RayGUI thing, which is, I think it's just a IMGUI implementation. But there is no Odin bindings for RayGUI, and I don't think to me it's quite fun to do those things, and it's not super hard and quite fun, I think. So I've done in like edit mode, update. I can show you quickly how some of it looks. So we have for example this. We have the save button. You can click and stuff. It's the simplest thing to show. Here you have if GUI button save, and we also have the main toolbar is just a rect. So and then I say, okay, take the address of the main toolbar and split off this amount from it, and return how big that rect is. So it takes, this function takes just this is the main toolbar, comes in here, and then it says to split off some amount and return the part on the left side of the main toolbar rect. So it tries to like take some space on the left side here and also modify the rectangle you will send in, so now it starts over here instead of starting here. So that's why I take a pointer here. Let's see if I can go back to my code. And the width here, I just use a function called button width, which calculates how wide the text will be using the font and stuff. And the GUI button, this is what I want to show here. So I made a little IMGUI system, right? See chat. Hi Luca, welcome. Yeah, Lucas says that they might steal some tricks for their own game. Do steal all the tricks. Let's see here what I was doing. Oh yeah, GUI button. So I have made a little IMGUI system. Is it called UI.odin? So I have this little UI system where I come to this function, and then I say fetch the next ID, and the IDs are just like my IDs are just UN64s, and that's just a counter that gets counted up all the time, and then it's reset to 0 and start of each frame, and then it counts up again. And those are used to know like, oh, which thing am I currently hovering and whatever. This is very similar, to all the IMGUI libs floating around, but I'm just doing the simplest stuff I need. So you have this button here, and I can actually make this one always on top, so I can like that. So I have this little button here, and then it gets the text size, which just measures the text by using the font. And never mind it, here it does a clone to a C string. I'm gonna fix so I don't need to clone it, because Odin strings and C strings are 0 null terminated, while Odins are not. But I'm currently doing this. I will probably fix that at some point, so I don't need to. But Raylib wants C strings. It wants null terminated strings. So I tell Raylib to kind of just draw a rectangle with my control background color, which is a color I've figured out is nice. So it's this little background here, and then it draws some lines around it on this rect. And I remember this rect is the one I calculated. I split off from the main toolbar here. And then I get the mouse position, and then I check is the mouse position inside this rect. In that case, I go to my UI and say the next hovered ID, it's this one. It's the one here. So that's just a hover next. This just this one. So it just sets that one. And then and then that one is set. And then we have this function inside the UI code here, which is run at the start of every frame. And I can see here it's running game update, I think. Yeah, UI.newFrame it says. And this one just resets the ID counter, right? Because so the IDs match up each frame as it goes through the update hierarchy. And then it sets hover to next hover, so it transfers whatever was in next hover to the current hover. And the reason this is sort of frame delayed is so you don't just overwrite the current hover state within, like for example, you might have a smaller thing within a bigger thing. So you can hover the big thing and then you can hover the smaller thing inside. So then the next hover to be set is the one that will be used, right? So it catches that one, sets next hover to 0, and then I also have a little thing called clicked here, which is set to 0. Now you will show what that is. And this button up should probably be down here, since it's better to look at when the button went down. So if the left mouse button goes down, if hover is not 0, then there was something under your mouse cursor when you clicked down the mouse button. And then it says, okay, the mouse went down while hovering hover, which is just the UI ID. So in this case, you will have the GUI button. So this one says next hover, and it has been transferred into hover here, and then the mouse goes down. So then it will, the mouse has gone down, so it will check, okay, hover is not 0, and then we set mouse down hover, and mouse down hover can then be used in code to, let's see here. Okay, it's mostly used to check. Okay, we'll return to that, whatever. And this is actually used for text fields. But anyway, so mouse down hover sets to this thing, and then it let's say this is done. And then if we later lift up the mouse button again, then if mouse button hover is still hover, so if the hovered thing is still the thing we originally went down with mouse button on, then we say you click this thing, and then we set this mouse button hover to 0. The reason we do all this, instead of just like we check which thing, we could just check like, okay, which thing are we hovering when the mouse goes down, and then say that, oh, we click that. Or we could say which thing we were hovering when the mouse went up, and we click that. The reason we don't want to do that is because in UIs you're used to be able to there's a bug in this say button, but we can use these as an example. You see, if I click this one and stay, then it actually clicks it. But if I go out and release, if I go out and release, nothing happens. This is what you expect from a button, right? But if I go out and then go back in again, release, then it still clicks. That's also what you expect. And you get all that from this little thing that when you hover, if you're hovering and click, then it says, this is the thing you were hovering when the mouse went down. And then later when the mouse goes up, it checks, is it still the same thing you're hovering that you hovered when it went down? And in that case, it's clicked. And then this click thing is quite nice. You can use it in here in GUI button I used return is UI.clicked equals to ID, and then it gets clicked. And the state selector, which is the this one is the state selector. In this one, it loops over all the items in it, and it makes an ID for each. And then it just checks if UI.clicked is this one, then it sets the new state. And new state is the thing that will be returned. So then it will know if the state changed, right? GUI, but there was a bug there. Did you see? Like, so in this case I can do this, go outside. In this case, it doesn't. So I think this code should just not exist. I should remove that, recompile. Let's see. It looks a bit... Let's see here. Is there a different color? Ah. Mouse down on hover. Okay, then it's active. Okay, I think, okay, let me check inside selector. I think, yeah, so this is what this multi-state selector does. It checks. So what this should do here is, it should be like, if this thing, then that, else. So it needs to still, you still need to hover it for this thing to happen, right? And then, now I'm just fixing random bugs I see. You see now I'm still holding the, maybe that wasn't obvious from the stream, but I'm still holding the button and I move back in. I move out, I'm still holding it, and I move back in, I move out. So that's what I wanted to happen. So then you know sort of that it will get clicked when you release on it. So yay, we fixed the bug. Oh, damn it, the push button. Push button is its own function down here, and it has the same problem. So it should just be like, go in here, if blah blah blah, if the ID I hovered when I entered was this one, then I do that. Wait, this case I draw the rectangle, this case I draw the border. The border should go down here. And this one. So the difference between these two is the one has active color, which is sort of the pressed color, and one has, yeah, so now it works. Reloaded there, and now it works. Yeah. So that's a bit about the IMGUI stuff, and what I really like, the thing I really like is, you know, just having a bunch of these different functions that take a pointer to a rectangle, and it's just sort of almost like take a scissors and cuts off a piece either from the left or from the top. So this toolbar on the right here, for example, is just edit. Which are we in? We're in edit objects. So in edit objects case, it just where's the side panel? Yeah, then it just says take the whole rect, which is the whole window that is left. But first we split off the main toolbar. But after we've done that, we call this edit mode edit objects for the current editing mode, which is this one. And then we get the rect, and we just we say split off from the right with this width, and then we have our side panel rect, which would be this one. And then when we later want to get this rect down here, which is the see, the bottom panel, then we split from the rect again. But then this, the colors aren't very good here, but this rect is sort of this area down here, right? So it you just splitting off and getting smaller and smaller chunks out. And then a nice side effect is also that whatever is left in rect in the end is actually the area I'm gonna draw in, because yeah, so this area, after I've split off the toolbar and then this one and then this one, what I'm left with is this one. So then I actually use that to do like a scissoring mode to make sure that you can't accidentally draw outside of this thing here. You can't accidentally draw a tile here and it ends up on top of my stuff if the ordering is not good of the code. So it always gets correct. And I just use the remaining rect to set up the scissor mode, which is nice. What more? Yeah, I got the high DPI in Raylib to work. At first I was confused about this, that it would be hard, but in the end, because I realized, oh no, my game looks, my IMGUI looks different on depending on my the DPI setting, the scaling setting in Windows. So the only thing I need to do was to run set config flags Windows high DPI. At first I thought I would need to like scale like the toolbar heights and stuff, but no, not really. The only funny thing I needed to do was to fetch the current DPI and scale the font height by it, because Raylib didn't do that automatically when I loaded the font. So the font was all blurry if I didn't. But that's all I needed to do. Anyways, enough about that. So the game, so that's sort of what I did since last stream. It hasn't happened a lot to the game because I was mainly working on this object editing mode and stuff. But the game is still like this. You can jump around, jump up on things. You can go into this spaceship and you can fly away. And you can go to space, and now it changes game mode. So all that is still, the same as before. So we're mostly doing tooling here, and the goal of all this is to so my previous goal, I made the editing objects thing to make the tree stump, so I could define the collider to be just this big, so I didn't have to care about the tile size, and I could put it sort of anywhere, which is what's happening now. You have this, it's like you see that the collider is not the whole thing, it's just nicely put in like that. So that I wanted to do for this thing. What I want to do next is to go over here, and here is, I have a mock-up of how this area is supposed to look. And bear in mind it's just a mock-up, so it's not, where is it? Source data mock-up. So I have this mock-up of, so there's supposed to be like a bridge, and these are supposed to be stones with lots more of definition. It's supposed to be like nice details on here. And then there'll be a waterfall, and a waterfall you can talk to. So what I want to do here is to make all this. So that's the next step, sort of. But I have some things to do. So this waterfall is supposed to be animated, so then I sort of need animated tiles. But I think what I will do here is to add, I will add another object mode. So what I will do is in edit objects, currently there's like static object, cat, and rocket. So there will be an animated object here as well, where you can pick something that has animation, and then I will probably make the whole waterfall or something into one big animated thing, and then I can, with snapping enabled, go in and snap it in at just correct place, and then use the normal tiles to sort of draw around it. So it's just, you have this combination of some tile things and some more dynamic objects. Thank you, Creativity, for saying that you love the stream. And sup, hello, the Tarnav, hello. But so what I'm working on right now, before I start the stream, was I'm working on a new tile editing mode, because I've sort of realized that when I'm working inside Aseprite, I want to work inside a tile set, so I can easily sort of, before this I have been exporting tiles as, little separate things like this, or like, oh, here's one of the corners, and then it loaded all those, and then I could paint them out. But I hate exporting these, and I could make something manual to do that, but then I would still be working inside a tile set within Aseprite. So I've moved all these into this thing, which is a little tile set, and this is the thing you see here. It's drawn here, and I'm currently just making sure that this thing is used, right? Because currently the tiles you see here, all these, they're drawn using the old system, which use these graphics. But the new system will use the tile set, which is this big thing. So I'm just coding away on that system to use the tileset instead. And yeah, so that I'm halfway there with this system, so I will just continue working on that, and then I will probably just I haven't built a lot of stuff here yet really, so I will just recreate that. And we also need to make sure that we save those tiles to disk and load them when we load the level. Currently I don't do that, so this is just a bit of everything. And when I've done that, then I'm thinking about looking at the object stuff and adding, like, working on the waterfall to make that animated and stuff. And when we've got that in place, then I want to make the waterfall into this kind of entity that you can interact with. So you can, because it's supposed to be like a living waterfall with a face and stuff. So that's what I am doing. One thing that is sort of like conflicting ideas here is that, okay, I want the graphics to look sort of alive, so there's lots of animation and stuff going on, right? And when you have a tile set like this, it becomes a bit rigid. I can add objects, you know, have an animated object thing here, so you can create all your animated things and then place those in the world. But then I'm thinking, okay, but if I use a really a lot of those, will it just be that it's like I'm just using these objects everywhere and the tiles is sort of like this weird fallback thing that is barely used? So I've been thinking about maybe maybe I should have some kind of I'm not sure, like, should I have like some kind of animated tile set, but how does that work? What's that? So that's sort of, I'm a bit like, it would be nice if it was easy to make as much animated as possible. That's one thing that's sort of, I'm a bit torn. So like currently I'm just thinking, like, is this the correct idea to go down this tile set thing, or should I just have okay. What about this idea? Maybe any tile can be animated, right? Maybe that's a nice thing, if any tile can be animated. And then when it, like later, when I just make it so that there is some code that goes through all the animated tiles and makes a big sort of atlas of them. So yeah, I don't have to have like 1,000 different textures. It just draws from different places in this big texture, which is sort of like a tile map, but it's generated by the game later from all the data. Because then I can just be like, oh, this is just my big texture of all the tiles and all the animation frames, and it just jumps around in there to draw the whole world, and then it just all comes alive nicely. So actually, maybe all this is crap, I realize now. But there is like the other way around also, right? Because what I just said is that I like working inside. I hate exporting these separate little, oh, not this one, but like these. I hate exporting these separate things, right? So that's not very nice either. Yeah, the tar never says that you can make tiles that are more than one by one, like sprites, I guess, which would be like, oh yeah, you have a, yeah, that could work. So maybe, okay, let's say we do that. Yeah, Jacob Thompson says that they would just use normal animated objects and keep tile static. Yeah, I know. It's just that I think I'd want to add lots and lots of animations, like so. to make things look a bit more alive. Because I currently don't even have the proper like currently the tiles are actually separate objects. So we just started moving to having a proper tileset just now, and now I'm a bit like, is this actually what this game needs? Because maybe I could see that I want to have, like, for example, all this blue stuff is of course gonna be lots of muddy textures and stuff here, and then it would be fun to have like little animations there where things are moving and happening, like maybe there's some worm going around, and maybe there's some grass here that's moving, and then of course some of the grass would be on top and it would be behind the player, and that could be like animated objects. So I'm a bit torn. What's the best way? Actually, the only problem here is that I just need to make sure I'm doing something that is possible. Like if I change my mind later, I'm not stuck. I can like migrate it to some other solution. And I guess for the tiles, I could do that. I could sort of change how it works later and then migrate the data if I need to. Yeah, so I'm thinking if all this tile stuff I'm doing now is maybe a bit, I'm thinking too much ahead without being sure of which solution I want. Because if I use the old system, then I could easily make them animated also by just having it not 16 by 16, which is the current size. I could have it like 32 by 16, and then it knows, oh, this is animated or something like that. Yeah. Interesting problem. Let's see, the chat says, are you worried about performance with many animated objects? I don't think that's an issue. Even if you have 10,000 objects, you can just do frustum culling. Plus Raylib has batching. Yeah, no, I'm not really worried about that. It's more of a workflow thing, I guess. It's like how do I make sure that I don't end up with just static tiles, and then when I want to add animation, I have to remove stuff and just replace them with something. I can't just like go in and like do nice stuff. The Yuki Cat says, "Ooh, new GUI menu. Yes, I've made new IMGUI things. I had happy fun time doing editor coding, which I'm the kind of weird person that thinks doing UI coding is one of the most fun things. So I replaced all my ugly old buttons with these, and they use like a IMGUI UI system that you can see in the replay later that I talked about a bit. Anyways, so I need to decide what to do with my tiles. So the performance is not a problem, really. It's more of a workflow thing. So it would be nice. So there's several layers of workflow problems. I hate exporting small tiles. I like working in a big tile set because you can just compare things and paint things next to each other, and then you save it out and it's all nice. And then when that comes into the game, it's nice if when it comes into the game, having a tile set yeah, then there is of course some kind of performance gain by having a tileset, but we can ignore that. So the only reason I would like a tileset at this point inside like Aseprite is because it's nicer to work in, right? And but I would also, it would be cool if I could just make animated sprites. Yeah, from the chat that one has to learn to not care about performance, otherwise you sometimes not get anything done. So that's what I'm trying to not care too much about it. I'm just trying to care about workflows that can make the game look interesting, essentially. That's so I don't get trapped in like everything is annoying to do, so I don't do it. That's sort of the concern here. Okay, so pros about the new tiles set thing is that I can easily work inside Aseprite. Cons is that it's hard to do. And it's harder to like, say that I want to make individual tiles animated or something, then that's a bit hard. Yeah. So let's see here. What more do I have from chat? Exporting a tileset sounds like a good idea regardless of what you decide to add on top of that. Yeah, I mean, of course you can always have, like, there is a fundamental limitation of tilesets that it's just one big image. Like if it's like this, it's just one big image. Then if I want to animate any of the tiles, then it's not that nice. But okay, you know what? I think just doing animations on tiles, that will create very repetitive animations. Say that I add a little worm that goes by here, then it would be like, okay, there's a worm, and then there's a worm, and then there's a worm. And then if I add some grass, then it's like, okay, it's always waving in the same way. So actually, now that I think of it, it's better to have the static stuff, because that's what it is, it's static. Even if I make it animated, then it's like animated static, because it's just doing the same thing over and over, right? So maybe I should just have some kind of static background stuff that I paint out, and I just use a tile set like this, all happy with that. And then I can on top add animated things. I could go in and touch up things on top of here, and I can even have code sort of driving, like when does certain little things happen. Maybe there's a funny rodent going through a tunnel, and it happens like with some randomness that's easier to control from code than having it in the like the most. If I have that built into the most generic of the tile system, then that system will get very crazy. Yeah. Well, the Tarnab says that Minecraft splits animated and static tile sets into separate files, they think. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. But then you probably want animated things, like you don't maybe have the same number of frames, so they can't be in the same tile set. Like it more becomes like, so for example, animations in this game currently is, where is it? Like here's one of the cat's animations. So this is just for that specific action. When I climb up, it's placed this one. That's one like tile set. That's one like animated sprite sheet with all the frames. So I make all those separately, which works quite fine. But yeah, so I think what I'm landed on after all this thinking aloud is that I want the new tileset system that uses a tileset, so I can comfortably work inside Aseprite in just this way, just add things to this tileset. I think, because I hate exporting them. So I want to have a big file like this. Maybe I support several, so I can have several and stuff, and then I can do some post processing of those later. If say I want to do any sort of post, like sometimes with tile sets you get like bleeding between the tiles because of how the camera moves, and you sort of so the tiles, you actually see a part of the other tile inside the current one. And then you need to do some padding, and maybe then you need to put all your tiles through some kind of post-processing thing. That depends on a bit on how the drawing is set up. But yeah, so I think I will just continue with what I was planning to do, to migrate to some new fancy tilemap system, and then I will rebuild the world, which is not that much in that system. So I've already come quite far with this today. I can show. So I have, let's make this text a bit bigger. Edit mode, place tiles. So I have my edit mode place tiles here. So I've been working on this. In this one, this used to be the old system that placed them one by one, not from a tile map. But now I have my fancy new tile map. So I've added a code for being able to select multiple already, and when you select multiple, it will random the brush between which one it is. So it does something like that. Here you see something weird going on. So there's some funny bugs here and stuff that I will look at. What's going on? Okay, first question is, what's going on here when I place this one? Is it this one? No, is it this one? Is it this one? Yes, it's this one. Does it happen with this one also? Yes, it does. Okay, so this one looks like it looks like the top of this one, which is weird. I was suspecting it would show, like if it bleeds over to the next tile in the tile map, I would suspect it showed this one. Yeah. So with this one it happens, with this one. No, wait, they're all the same. Aha, I see now. It's broken, that's the problem. The problem is that it doesn't work. The Tarnav asks, what's the motivation for building the tile editor into the game? Yeah, there are some tile editors like TileEd, or there's some new fancy one called like LDTK or something. I don't think I like building these things, and the nice thing is that I can just play the game and press a button and edit and then continue playing. Of course I could go to another application, edit some stuff, and then reload inside the game. But I kind of like to keep it all inside here. And then I don't need to care so much about how that program exports the data, and just use my own format or something. There's not a super good reason. I just went for this thing because yeah, I can do, if you use your own tool, you can do slightly funnier editing. And this game also, I can reset the game. This game will also have quite different editing modes, gameplay modes. So when you step into this rocket, you fly to space. And when you're up in space, I'm not actually, there's nothing to do up here yet, but I'm not actually sure how the editor, how the game will look up there exactly. If it's all generated, or if it's, the level editor might be a bit different. So then I might need to code some, like maybe it's not even tile based in the same way. I'm not really sure about that part yet, exactly how it will work. So then I might just need slightly different editing tools that don't match the other one. So I'm just making the different types of editor I need up as I go. Anyways, so let's continue working on the tile stuff. First, we're gonna figure out why it doesn't work properly. So I select this one, that's good. I select this one, and then it doesn't, you see it's always stuck on the first one, which is wrong. So we will check. Let's see here. I think this text size works on the stream. So when I click one of these, then it adds it to the set of selected items. Wait, where does it do that? Oh yeah, this is it. It's set. This is just a set. It sets. Its selected items is. It's a map of int to empty struct. There is no type for like a, what's it called? Like a set that only has a key and no value, but you just make. I don't care about what the value is. The struct is 0 size, and I just do this. I could make a function that does this for me, but I only use sets here. Okay, let's see what's wrong here. So I add it to selected tiles, and then I go to select random block. And the reason I have select random block is because I can multi-select, and then it's supposed to choose one of these ones as the current one. So what this one does, it says, okay, give me one of the random blocks, and then it chooses that one. But obviously it does something because the brush changes a bit. So I think actually this code is working. It is selecting the brush tile is the one we're currently using to place things. So I think actually this code is working. I think that what's wrong is the code that draws the stuff. So let's look at that. Wait, I think I know what's wrong. Look, when it's here, it's like that. When I click there, it's just 1 extra pixel. Down here, it's 2 extra pixels. 3, 4. So it's not multiplying by the tile height here. That's the problem. Plop, there we go. Now it works. And then I can. Okay, it's a bit. Does it properly choose between? Oh, I selected 4 different ones here. Now it should randomly jump between those. I think I only seeing 2. Like, where is? Oh, I know why. I haven't fixed the draw world code yet. It does the same. There's one piece of code for drawing the brush, and then when it draws the world, it does something. Now it will always ploop. Yeah, there you go. It popped into the correct spot. So now all that works. That's nice. So just so to be clear, this stuff here lives. It comes from my level file, which uses the wrong syntax highlighting. Blah 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 blah. Where is it? That's JSON. There you go. Wait. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's these. So these fist guys currently come from static entities, and that's the old system. That's all these things. So they're still drawn using the old system, but you can no longer edit them because I'm doing the new editor thingy-dingy-ding. Yeah. So I just want to make sure this editor works properly, and then I'm just gonna manually replace these because it's not a lot of work, especially when you can do the multi-select random stuff. And it's not gonna be a perfect replica. It doesn't matter. It's not final graphics in any way. Okay. So we have that. Now we need to start saving this to the level format, which we can do. I think I accidentally edited the level. So when we click save, the function save is run. And here it goes through, this is the current one that goes through the so-called static entities. And the level, so what I use the Odin's built-in JSON marshaller here. And so I have a specific struct type for the level format, since the level format is not always exactly the same as runtime format. So level format is two lists, one of static entities, one of object positions. Object positions is where is the rocket, where is this stump, where does the cat start, all that. Static entities is currently all these guys. So I need to add something new here, which is my tiles. So I'm just going to call it tiles, and then we say level tiles. And then we say that level tiles is a struct. What does this one contain? Let's minimize the game for a bit. Go to tile. So this is the runtime data, and it's probably going to be identical for now, I think, because it will just have a tile index, and where it's placed in the world, it also needs a flip, but we will add that later. It's fine. I mean, I could just define this as a variation of this one, but I will just, they will always diverge, these two formats. There will be some difference at some point. So I just, and I write this code once and then it's fine. Level tile, not tiles, because it's one. So the tiles, this tiles here, it's the highlighting is the we won't. Yeah, that's the old blocks I used to place from the old format. Never mind that. Let's go back to save. And then we can say like this, that in the level format we add one called tiles, and we say this is, we make an array of level tile, and it should be as big as world.tiles. And we allocating using the temp allocator, because this data will just be saved to disk and I don't care about it after that, which is sort of my philosophy. Some people use I use temp allocators quite much. Some people, would use them only for like doing temporary strings. I just throw stuff on there, and like things I want to forget about, that where I need to do a heap. Like I need to do some kind of non-stack allocation, but I use that. It's fine. And then I say for t in world.tiles, and now I will just toss all these over. Actually, I can get the tile index. The second argument in these for loops is the index that it currently has. So I can just do that. And then I go level format.tiles at tile index equals level tile. And then I just, like I said, these are currently identical in layout, but I don't really care about that right now. This will make it so that it can save. You can reload the game. It might explode. No, it doesn't, because there's so the reason the game explodes sometimes when you hot reload is because the memory layout of the structs move. The only struct layout I've changed now is the level format, and that's only used during save, and then the data is thrown. So I can probably hit save now, and nothing weird happen. And then I go to level out. Why do you keep changing? Open all with current extension as JSON. I almost never use real JSON. I just use the. Why can I never find this one? There it is. So there you see, it actually exported them all already. Why is there a blank space after each? Weird. I have been making some local changes to the JSON marshaller and unmarshal code recently, so maybe that was my fault. What I did with I added this. I use unions a lot, so I use which subtype, like, you know, I can either be, when you're editing objects, you can either be static object, cat, or rocket, and these are actually different variants of a union. And the marshal didn't. The marshaller just saved it like this. So when it unmarshal, it was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what type it's supposed to be. It's just it's a union, and then it just handed us like this, so it doesn't know. So I added to the marshaller code that it writes the variant like this, and that's the name of the type, so we can, when it unmarshals it can do all that. And I put that in a pull request, but it's quite hacky, so I don't think they're gonna merge it. But it's this is a problem you can run into if you use the marshal unmarshal code in Odin currently for if you use the JSON stuff. Anyways, whatever. So maybe this extra space here is related to my hacks. Who knows? Whatever. I will look at that later, why there's a space. So now we wrote the tiles. That's nice. Now it just needs to load them. Because if I press, now it's saved, so I can quit the editor. If I press F6, then it reloads the level. Now my tiles are gone, but they're still in the level. I can go to load level and be like, oh, I hate this function. I want to, okay, we're gonna do one thing at a time here. I'm gonna remove this function because it's not needed, but I will do that shortly. First, I will load all the tiles. Yeah, you see this? It's just a messy long, yeah. I will fix this one soon. So then what load level does, it just opens a file, and then it unmarshals the data in that file into a local variable of type level format, which is again the same format, and then it will just read the level into that file, into that data structure. And then if it succeeds, then it runs all this code, and then I can just do for level format tile in level format.tiles. And then I do the same dance, but the other way. So I go append tiles, which is the argument I just added up here. Far away here on the other side of the ocean, we have tile. Oh wait, what did I write? I just wrote it. So you're supposed to write the variable name, the parameter name, and then the type. I just wrote it's supposed to be tiles : like that. And then you do like this. And I bring up my tile struct. And I say tile index equals lf level format tile.tile. And like I said, this is just the only reason I'm doing this is because these will diverge at some point. So I don't like because suddenly I will add something here that only makes sense during runtime, and then that's saved to disk, and then I'm looking at it, I'm like, why is this here? So it's just better to separate them. It has happened every single time I use the runtime structs for that. So we have that. Wait, yes, this one now needs to. You need to have a tiles is a dynamic array of tile, and then it sets in the world it sets tiles to tile. And then we go back. Then we hit our reload button again, and then there you see all the tiles appearing again, because I just reloaded the level, but it had new load level code, so it just appeared there. Okay. Okay, so now it loads. That's all good. Am I done? No, wait, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I can't remove stuff yet. That's the next Or the old one I could right click and sort of remove stuff. I don't have any nice like data structure for doing quick lookups yet of tiles. I mean, it is a grid, but the only way it's a grid, it just takes the mouse cursor and clamps it to the grid, and then it saves inside the level that we can look at now, which is saves the coordinate, and that's actually the same way it looks inside here. I could add some acceleration stuff on this maybe, but I don't need to currently. But we can go to place tiles, bloody blue, and remove this random line break, and then we drink some tea. Okay. So I want to be able to right click to remove, because you could do that in the old code that used the non-tileset version of the tiles. This is the code that draws the side panel, I think. Yes, I think so. Where's the rec? Oh yeah, it says side panel and then it has sort of it clamps them to like your mouse cursor to a grid and stuff. So now I need to figure out, am I hovering any of the tiles that currently live in here? That's what I want to figure out. And I could do that with my old code, but the new code doesn't. But it's easy to, we can do the stupidest, simplest thing. We can just say for for tile and tile index in world, we can take the pointer, world.tiles. And then we need, I want this, I want a rectangle here now. So I have something to compare my mouse cursor against. And yeah, so the old code, this is the old code that for the old editor that I will delete when I've written this one. This one took the rectangle of the thing I want to see if I hover into screen space and did a check against that. So I'm just gonna figure out the world position, but I've already done that before because I draw these things. So we can go down here. This is the rectangle in world space for the tile. Let's make a function out of that. Tile rect xy right. Yeah. Let's call it tile world rect. We steal this code. Walk up here. Tile world rect is a procedure that takes x, y as integers and it returns a rect. And it's not gonna do much, but I just don't wanna repeat this code everywhere. Blah blah blah. And then this is done in one more place, I think. Isn't it? Trying to find the other place. Yeah, it's done when should be done in the editor. Yeah, it's this one, I think. No? Ah, never mind. I don't need to care about that. But what I wanted to do here was I wanted to do this. I wanted to go through all my tiles and then I say like, okay, what's the world rect? The world rect is the t.x, t.y. So I fetch my world rect of the tile, and then I say under cursor equals. Actually, I don't need to write all this. I have like rect mouse in rect. This function actually fetches the mouse position for me, so I don't have to do it all the time. And then I think I just say screen rect. Why does this one take... So I want to bring it into screen space now. Why does this one... I want to do this, but I want to take a rectangle here and return a new rectangle. So I have a world rectangle. Okay, let's do like this: screen rect from pos size, and then we can do a screen rect from rect. They take the procedure, blah 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 blah. R rect. Sometimes I say rl.rectangle and sometimes I say rect. I defined that these days as rect, and then we need the camera rl.camera 2D, and we return a rect. So this is the same. They're defined to be the same type. Chat says thanks for streaming. Some Dexstar77 says thanks for streaming some Odin. Already learned quite a bit. That's nice. It's a very nice little language. Let's see. So these will do the same thing. I just want to make one that takes a rect instead of the position and the size separately. Or maybe it will just... Hehe. I will just do like this. r.width, r.height, and then pass the camera in. And then we say that screen rect is a procedure that is either screen rect from pos size or it's screen rect from rect. And this, what this one does, it's you can just type screen rect. It's like so Odin is a very explicit language. So in this case, you do explicit overloading. So you can't have two functions with the same parameter list just implicitly, but you can make two with different names, and then you do one function like this, and then you can still be very precise if it feels like there is for some reason some kind of ambiguity, which there won't be like from a code standpoint, because the code is very it doesn't do an explicit casting of types. But if there's some ambiguity, like logically that you're not sure what your code is doing, then you could call one of these explicitly to really show that. But whatever. What is we're doing? Edit mode tiles. Let's go back. Yeah, so now I can just do this, I think. I can run screen rect with the world rect to bring it into screen position. And then I can say if under cursor, and then I say tile under cursor is tile index. Here I have to be a bit careful because there might be old code. Whatever. Now there's no old code that uses it really in any meaningful way. Let's see if this compiles. Wait. Wait, what did I do? Redefinition of tile world rect in this scope. There's one there. Wait, what am I looking at here? Here's the other one. Excuse me, I think I wrote this function earlier today, the exact same function. Or interesting. Then we remove one of them because I think these two, well, the tile height is in this side. It doesn't matter where the tile height is, if it's inside the parentheses or outside it. Okay, That's funny that I made the same function twice. See here. Okay, it says that screen rect undeclared name. I call it screen. Supposed to be like that, huh? Undeclared name C. Where? Huh? Ah, okay, yeah, it's called camera. Okay, there it compiled. Now I will know which tile is under the cursor. And let's see here. Check, blah, blah, blah. This one can use the rect, mouse in rect. I don't know why I don't use that one all the time. This is also just a mouse check. This is the code that currently draws the brush like this. If I'm inside this screen area here, inside the rect, the rect is whatever is remaining after I split off this part and the toolbar up here of the screen. So if my mouse is inside there, then this is what draws the little brushy thing. And this one is drawn actually in screen space, which is kind of funny. You know, most of the other things I draw in, when I run draw world, I draw in world space, right? Because it's easier. I can just use a camera. But in this case, it's not drawing. It's drawing currently in screen space. So it's doing some funny stuff here to bring it into screen space. Maybe I should actually have like defer this draw to later, like, or something, and just draw it when I have the camera set up or something. Or just use the camera here. I don't know. It's not very important. So I don't know why I said it. Aha. Taking some more tea instead of saying things. So now we hopefully, with this code up here, know which tile is under a cursor. So now we go like, okay, is mouse button pressed the right mouse button and tile under cursor is not, I think it's -1 by default, just to say that we didn't set equals. That's interesting way to write it. In this case, I will just go like remove, what's it called? There is like a tile under cursor. It doesn't, the old code that for the old editor did an unordered remove. Unordered remove is there's two kinds of removes in Odin for an array. You can either do a remove, ordered or unordered remove. The unordered takes the last element and puts it where the current one is, so it doesn't have to compact the array. In some languages, it might just actually, whenever you run remove an array, and it's in the middle, it's not at the end, then it might just copy the later parts and put it to compact it. But this doesn't need to compact because it just moves the last element and then lowers the size. Unordered remove world.tiles, tile under cursor. I will also add a tiny bit of extra security here. Tile under cursor must be less than length of world.tiles. Can't see because there's a game in the way. Okay, let's see if this works. Yay, I can right click to remove. And now I can save and I can press F6 to restart the game, and it actually, yes, and I can remove that one and that one. Save, restart the game. So it's there. Save to disk and reload to the level and all that. So that's quite nice. That's exactly the same thing as the old editor, but it uses my tile tilemap instead. Is that it for the basic editor, say? Currently you can paint multiple tiles because it doesn't have a real grid. Like it just has things with coordinates. So you can actually put things on top of things, I think. And it's interesting that if I put this one, remove it, then it's the same one still there. Oh, okay, yeah. Never mind. I'm used. So what happened there was I painted this one and then I took this one and I painted at the same place, but I don't see it. But the thing that checks if it's something under the cursor is actually catching the one that's invisible here. So when I right click now to remove it, the invisible one was removed, and then it's a bit funny. Maybe there should be a break here. Then I think it's just random because they get sorted later. So I think I'm not gonna be able to. Well, at least that worked. Whatever. I will look into that a bit later. It's not so important right now with the. I could, of course, when I left click and there's already something there, I could remove it. But yeah, let's not mind that. Okay, so there's some other things I want to do here. So I want to be able to put tiles on top of tiles. So I have this, I will have like a waterfall thingy here. So I can, this says layer 0 up here. And I can actually, with the Q and the E buttons, I can change the layer. And this would draw behind, and if I have, and this would end up on top. Right. So there's a bunch of things I would like to do here. Okay, which order to do this? I think I should first recreate the world using the new stuff. I will just do a lot of level editing just to recreate it, and then I will do some things with the layering, because I want the editing to be able to like, oh, do you want to, should it remove on right click? Should it remove stuff in the current layer or in any layer, or stuff like that. But let's just have some, because I want to get rid of the old stuff first. So my idea for replacing this is that I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to draw world, because I need the old one as reference, right? Sort of. It's not very important how this looks, but it's just nice. It goes quicker if I can. Oh, has this been printing? Yeah, it's been spewing all the time here. Whoops. So now the spewing stopped. And if you haven't watched before, I use hot reloading a lot. So I keep the game running here, and almost everything I've done so far, you see me do hot reload. And in the first episode of the live streams, which is on the channel, I talk about that. There's also an edited, like condensed video about the hot reload. If that sounds interesting. So what I want to do is I want to be able to hide these, so I can paint and then look and then paint. And what I'm just gonna do is something simple like this. This is the stuff that draws this, I think. So I check if rl.is key up or is key down, maybe. Let's use F. I don't use F for anything yet. So only if F is down, we will see the old stuff. Blah. This disappeared. Oh, and now I'm in there. And then I hold F. So now I can sort of hold that, paint a bit, And then, yeah. So I think that should be good. So to make, I'm wondering if I should. I would like my new ones to appear on top of these, but I don't want to abuse the layers to do that. So I think I'm just gonna temporarily, when I load the level, when I load the level, I will set all the static ones to like -5 layer and then reload the level. Now, now if I paint anything, it will end up, even if I'm layer 0, it will end up on top, even if those are in the wrong one. So now I can happily just, so I will take this one and this one, and then I can go like, okay, we do like that, and then we go maybe here, and then we take these 4, we do like that, and then we do like that. Should have like a drag paint mode, but I know a problem I will run into in a bit, that I can't currently flip these. Okay, I will run into it now. Okay, I guess I should fix that. All these layers will now become -5, I think, because if I click save, then all this data will get, this will get saved back. But I mean, I don't care about the old ones really anymore, but let me see. Does it matter? Almost all of them are on layer. Actually, I think currently things that are on negative layers, they don't have collision. But I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna make the collision creation explicit, because it doesn't work to use the negative, because then I can put things behind things. Like I can put a nice background with tiles, because we just have collision. Okay, let's fix the tile. Flip. Edit mode tiles, place tiles. Okay. I promise to remove this code because it doesn't not used anymore. And then, okay, so if key X is pressed, then it flips the thing. I can also, I think, maybe, no, this doesn't. Okay, so first thing I need to do is go to tile and add flip X bool, and also to the level tile, flip X bool. And then I need to go to load level. Oh yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna remove this function. I'm gonna simplify this a bit, but that's not very interesting to see, so I'll do that another time. And then in save also, we will add the flip X. Then we go back to editor, place tiles. And tile under cursor, blah, blah, blah. And then we do here, we just fetch the current tile, and then we flip the flip X, and we don't, this is some old, we don't need to do that currently, because we currently, that was the old generated a render object for it, but we don't do, currently we render them on the fly. What the hell is this? How can how can how does okay, I'm very confused. Why does this is in draw world and they both use the same function for the destination? This looks very wrong. I'm gonna look at why this works. Oh, I think I know why it works. Okay. Let me see here. So I hit save here. I don't care about the old data anymore. And then I reload. I can run around. Hold F to show the old one. So I'm just interested here in how this can work, but I think it works because the texture rect is like where in the tile set do we fetch the thing? That's the like we're in here, and this one is, so they use different parameters. One is this one has origin 0 here, and other one has origin 0 in the world somewhere, you know, whatever. But so this one actually happens to work both in the, so I think, let's see, this one is used here to make colliders, and then it's used here to check if it's under the cursor, and then it's used here to okay, we're gonna make two different ones here that currently do the same thing, but that might change. So one is like this is the world rect, and this one is like the tileset rect or something like that. And then we fix, and then we, what happened to you? This guy got sad. What happened? Wait, why did that happen? Can't be that this one exists. Nah, something happened when it hot reloaded. Refresh world runtime data. Like if I reset the game, okay, and then I compile, and then it's all fine. I compile again. Very confused. I'm gonna see if that happens again. Anyways, tile world rect. Where are you used? So you're used here. In this case, we want the world rect of the tile. In this case, world tiles. Yes, we want it. In this case, I want to say tileset rect. So there's just, if I change any of those, there's no confusion. So now it still works. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I was gonna add the flip. And now I need to add the flip here. So this is Conrad asks, cool code, but who made the amazing pixel art? Me! My favorite pixel art is this animation. I don't know, I haven't done much animating before, but I was very happy with this one. And then when the cat gets into the rocket, I also like, and then it flies away. And eventually when the animations, when I'm happy enough with animations, like I'm gonna replace the walk animation with something more nice and fluid, because that was the first one I did. I think I did the walk animation on the plane back from GDC. Yeah, so when I've done the animations correctly, I will try to color the cat a bit more, because if you have colors on there and try to do animation at the same time, I will just get lost. Anyways, what am I doing? Yes, so I want to add a flip. Oh, I know what happened before here when it all went crazy. It was because I changed the struct layout of the tile. I added the flip, and then when we hot reloaded, there was an offset, so all the tiles just went wah wee wah. So here we need to take a bool, which is flip x bool. And if I'm not crazy, everything we need to do is if flip x, then it's minus tile height. Otherwise, it's tile height. Well, this will kind of work. You won't see it in the editor. So I will fix it there too. Thanks for the animation. The animation excitement in the chat. What am I doing? Edit mode, tiles, something, place. Too much code. This thing. I like having the game always on top, but then it's also in the way. So I'm never happy. Let's see. Okay, we have the flip here, and then we go up to here where do we draw the brush? Here we draw the brush. So I think I need to do this here is if m dot flip x, then it's minus. Let's just do like this. Tile height. And now if I click this one and click X, then it disappears. This is the destination rect. DR destination rect. That's where it's supposed to go in the world. We just want to flip this one. And here, I think I can use my tile set rect. Tile set rect. X, Y, m dot flip x. Where is this even used? Down there. Okay, you don't need to be a variable like that. And now, I'm pressing X. I thought it was in the editor. What am I doing? I'm just pressing random buttons now in the editor. Okay, there we go. Now I can press X. You can flip, click, and then it's flipped the wrong way because I don't write the flip when I write the tile. Flip x equals this maybe. Yeah, now it's flipped correctly. And I think I can save that, reload, jump over here, and it actually reloads correctly. Yay, put the flip back in. Chat is asking, is the cat going to space? Planet faring? Yes, exactly. So what happens in this game is you sort of start the game here with the cat, and then you go up to this tree stump that will be much bigger. This is the super basic one I made. And your friend the squirrel will be sitting on it crying because someone cut their oak tree down. They sort of had, you're supposed to have a door and everything, like they live inside it or something. And your friend asks you to go and find a new oak tree. But then the problem is every single oak tree on the planet has been cut down. So they ask you to go. You have to go to another planet, to Oklahoma or whatever it's called, to find an acorn for a new oak or something. So then the rocket won't be here. It will be there will be a little quest with, like, you will talk to the sentient waterfall that's in this mock-up that's somewhere here. You will talk to the sentient waterfall and some other people, and you will plant your onion seed because it's the space onion, and then you will put some water on it that the waterfall gives you, and then you will go into your spaceship that grows up from the ground from the onion that you planted, and then you will fly away, and then there will be a little. Then it changes game mode sort of to this thing that doesn't do anything yet except flying around. And when you're there, there will be a little spacefaring game. It's not it's not like No Man's Sky. Everything is. I want everything to be seamless without cuts, but it's not gonna be it's gonna be more gamey than that. It's not gonna be so hyper realistic. So you will land on some little planet eventually. I'm not exactly sure what the gameplay in space is gonna be. If it's like you need to locate the planet, or if it's suddenly like F-Zero or something. But so the point is, it's supposed to be a little entertaining story, but it does seamless transitions into several different game modes that are all not too hard to get through. So because if the game mechanics suddenly change too much, then you're like, oh, I'm done, because this game just expects me to learn new things all the time that have nothing to do with each other. But you make it simple enough, then you can just have these different cute scenes, and it's a little cute story and it's not very long. It's like, maybe the whole game takes 30 minutes. And you go there and you find the acorn, and then you have to fly back somehow. Maybe you fly in the acorn because your space onion broke down, so you fly in the space acorn, and then you land on your planet. And then some crazy things might happen after that, with pancake batter that the squirrel had in their house or something. Who knows? And then it's the end. But now we will continue with making the world again. So we take these two, place one there, place this here. So like I said, what I'm doing is I'm just looking at the old world and replacing stuff in the new system so I can throw out the old system. Whoop. No, the other way. Then plop, 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 plop. And then we take these four. There's the old world look. Need one of these here, one here. Then I need this there. No, reverse. Like that. That. Then I need to, so I'm just recreating. I mean, I could write code that did this for me, but I have such a small world that it will take longer to write that code and not have it buggy than just redo this, because I've already done most of it. What am I doing? I was holding F. So I'm just replacing the world. I might not rebuild this cave totally right now because it needs to have some more I mean, none of these tiles are final anyways, but the important stuff is that I can walk around and do stuff. Need more. So when I multi-select, it just randomly picks between these. I should probably have a button that randomly changes the flip as well. So it has 4 to choose from, and then it randomly flips those as well, because then it would look even more varied. This is where the rocket is supposed to be planted, the space onion, excuse me. is supposed to be planted up here somewhere. And then we put this one here. Take some of these guys and put them out here. And I don't care about the cave right now. There we go. Oh, okay, I do care. I like this one. The little hangy thingy. Okay, maybe I put in these. Okay, maybe. Where's the... I put in the filler material too. It needs to look a bit nice. Yeah, like that. Now I think I put everything in layer 0. Yeah, whatever. I can fix that. Now I save. Oh. Wait, I was just gonna go over. I need a button to hold to move the camera faster. So we have all that nicely done. We click save. All done. Can press this one. Now this uses my new tileset system instead of the ye old system. And then this is a wall. Because it's in the wrong layer. But I'm not gonna use the layers for it. I used to use layers for it. Like if it's in there's a layer setting here. I can use Q and E to cycle layers. I used to use like negative layers was things you can't stand on, but I will need to put layer. No, wait. Oh, how did it work? Refresh runtime world data. Okay, this. Okay, so things that was in a higher layer than 0. Okay, yeah, everything on layer 0 or more got colliders. So I could put -1 on these and then, but I will, maybe that actually works still, because I just want to put things behind things that I can't stand on. Oh well. So let's maybe redo these few guys with layer -1. So I can at least go inside here. Like that. Then I actually have I have this fancy thing here. Maybe I want to use you. And then I take this one, click it, 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 click it. Now in theory, I can walk inside here. Yes. Woo! How did the... Okay, so here's one thing that won't work right now. You see this, well, it's working right now, but it won't. Once I throw out the old system for putting out things in the world, these green dots will disappear. These green things are manually placed. No, well, they're not manually placed, but in the old code, you sort of hovered one of the tiles and then you press the button and you set the ledge grab points. I think for now I could probably generate the ledge grab points. Like if it's a ledge and there's nothing on one side of it, like it's empty here, then you generate it. It also does some extra checks when you do the ledge grab, so you can't end up inside of random shit. Woo! But at least this works now. Yeah, so let's kill the old system maybe. Yeah, it's only till... Okay, maybe I should fix the grab points. Boring. Because the grab points, if you look in the... If you type correctly, if you look in the level, the grab points currently sit here on the... It has like grab point 1 is for a left side, 2 is if it's on the right side, and this is the old system. I don't have that on the new system. Static entity. This one is not used. Grab point. I think I will do like this. I will take grab point, go to tile. No, I don't even need to do that. I can just go to refresh runtime world data. All I need to know, I need to look for each tile. I need to look at the tile, if there's a tile to the left of it. If there isn't, then I add a grab point to the upper left corner of it. Yeah, something like that. Question is if I could just maybe I can do like this for now. I can do like a tile lookup. This is I use a this is I make a map from since I don't have like a nice grid lookup. I could do a map from vector 2 tiles with collision. Doesn't even need it's actually just a set. It doesn't need I can just do a temp allocated set. So it maps from vector 2 to nothing. And then I just, if layer is this, then I also go tiles with collision. So what I'm trying to do here is figure out all the tiles with collision so I can, for each tile, check if there is a tile to the left of it or not. And if there isn't, then I say, oh, but you should have a grab point to the left or right of you, depending on where there is no staff. This maps from a vector 2. That's not. I've been thinking if I maybe need like a. Let's do this for now. We do a vector 2 I, which is a distinct array of 2 ints. Because it can be like a U32 even. Let's just use int. Who cares? I'm only gonna use it currently for this refresh stuff. And then we say like so I didn't have a integer vector before, and there was this float. So now it's gonna hash them, and like this is gonna hash the data and stuff. So I just want to make sure it's all nice and easy for me. Okay, so this is like I said previously, this is just there's no set, there's only a map, but the map only has a key, so I set it to an empty struct. That's how you use a set. How you in a set say that this item exists. I could also add something like set add and do like proc set some generic stuff and then just do this to make it look less weird, but whatever. And then we go through all for key value in tile. I don't care about the value. Can I just do this? For key in tiles with collision. Because and this is actually like the position. Yeah, and then I take pos left is pos minus 1 0. And then I pos right is pos plus 1 0. And then if tiles, if pos left in tiles with collision, if, can I do, how do I guess I do like this. If not pos left in tiles with collision, so there's nothing to the left of me. Wait, does this even, yeah, this is a yeah, this will work. Then I say, okay, we're gonna have a grab point there. And we say that it should be at, I think we need the tile rect is tile world rect. And this one then pos.x, pos.y. Then we have the tile rect. Because these are in world position, the grab points. They're just any old way. The world, they're not any fancy integers. And if the right one isn't there, then it's the similar thing, but we add the tile rect dot width. So now I'm trying to add these points. So if there's nothing here, if I'm looking at this one, there's nothing here, then I want to add a point at that point. That this code does that. Then if I'm looking at this one, I look to the right. There's nothing here, I don't want to add one here. So this one, the coordinates end up here, and then you go there instead. Maybe this works. Nothing compiles. How do I make a map? Okay, it wants a size 10. Pos is, yeah, so we need to go like rect, no, pos from rect, tile rect. It compiles. Okay, in theory now, I won't know if this works unless I remove all this code. So remove all that code. Recompile. Reset the game. And click, oh. Okay. Yeah, so I have some, it worked, as you see, but I had some, I did some, wait, this one. Should be able to catch this one. Wait, I know what's wrong. Compatible facing. I copy pasted this code to here. So I reset again. Go here. Now it works. So the only problem now is that these should not be generated. But that's quite easy. I just need to do a pos up as well. Wait, up is negative in this Raylib coordinate system. So we say nothing above is, there's no pos up in tiles with collision. There's nothing above. If nothing above, okay, we say if nothing above. Do all that. So we only do these checks if there's nothing above. We go back to the game, we reset, run the debug. And there you go. Now there's no, now the grab points are automatically generated, so I don't need to place them anymore. What happened? Yeah, go. Perfect. All that works. Now I can probably kill all the old code for the old, like I said, the old code for defining and drawing all the stuff, all this what I call static entity. Those will not exist anymore. So I'm just gonna remove the struct. This is always fun. I remove the struct and then I go crazy with just removing stuff. Yes, remove that. This is the most fun part about programming, removing code. Because it just feels good that you're removing all the shit. Yeah, we don't need these anymore. What's this? Oh, this is my debug. Oh, well, this is the drawing code for it. Destroy world. Clear static entities. Nobody can clear tiles. Here we write the static entity level format. Don't need that. We can remove this. Oh, let's recompile again. Cause yeah, here we can say remove. That is just the memory cleanup. Static entity. Remove that. This goes. And then this one goes. Static, and this is the loading code. You go away. Ah, it's done. Now there is no more. Now I can click save, reload. The level it just loaded has only tiles. Well, it has. Why are you still here? Oh, static entities, not. No? Okay. Level format. Okay, it still exists, but it doesn't write anything to it. So then we remove this and we remove that. We go back up here, click save again. Go look here. Yeah, now it's gone. Good, good, good. One thing that happened, so when I did the one of those hot reloads, I don't know if you noticed it, but I think I was over here, standing here, and then it hot reloaded and it just resetted me. I can press F6 to reset, but it resetted me automatically. That was like a last minute, so it doesn't crash save. I talked, and I think I mentioned this before, but when it does the hot reload, it checks if the memory size that the game's main memory blob, if that one has changed, then some struct layout has changed and things are just gonna go bad. It might not crash if you're lucky, but it could. And just to be safe, it just resets the game so it just doesn't freeze and crash on you. But quite often, when you're not doing struct layout changes, the hot reload just works fine. It's just when you, yeah, I think I removed from what happened was this. I was here, I was in world, and I removed the whole array from world, right? So I remove that array, and that removes one of the items in world, and world lives in game memory, and game memory is the big thing that when it checks here, the memory size is actually the size of this struct, and this struct becomes kind of a bit smaller when world changed. And then it noticed that before, just after loading the new game API, it noticed that, and it's just kind of like, nope, we're gonna do a hard reset instead of making, this is the soft reset, this is the hard reset that actually wipes the old memory and re-inits the whole game. Yeah, just nice safety thing for not crashing. Okay. I'm still wondering, why is there space here? Must be something with JSON marshalling, boobily boofing. Okay. I talked a bit that I want to make it so that I can add and remove tiles only in the layer, this layer here I'm currently in. But it's getting quite late, so I'm gonna do one small thing, final thing here, before I'm finished for today, and that is that I hate that it's a dark texture here. I used to have a check, like if you go to see here, it's nice checker texture that doesn't wrap properly, but we can fix that. I want to have a checker texture here behind, so when they're semi-transparent like this, it is not this dark gooey theme thing coming through. But first you drink some tea. Wait, I'm gonna drink the old tea first, because otherwise I'm pouring warm tea into the half cup of cold tea. And that's how you get lukewarm tea. You know what George Lucas said when he looked at the audition tape for Mark Hamill? Is it for Luke Skywalker? This joke is not gonna land. For Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, he said, it was very lukewarm. That's all the jokes I had for tonight. Let's see. Edit mode. So I just want to make this checker texture up here behind the tiles. That is all. So currently it draws the whole tile set. And I have a checker texture here already that I used before. So maybe I can just do like this. I can take the checker texture and then I say, okay, I want to draw using the checker texture, but I want to draw into the destination rect of this one. What will happen? It won't compile. Why? Oh, because... Okay, let's do it like this. So this is the second parameter is the source rectangle. We are inside the texture, but the checker texture is a small 16 by 16 texture. It's this one. And the second one is where on the screen should it go? Yeah. That worked perfectly. No, it didn't, because it smudged it out. But I think it's because load texture function, it sets to mirror clamp when it comes out. So that this is the wrapping mode of. I'm just gonna check if I can just... Yeah, so I want to repeat the texture instead, but I don't always want to do that because there are other cases where I want like clamping, I think. But I'm just gonna test if repeat works. Oh, did I even compile this? What am I doing? Oh no, wait, I need to change here. Oh wait, I think I'm doing this wrong. I think I need to... You know what? I'm doing it the smart or a stupid way, or whatever you want to call it. What I'm supposed to do is checker. Why am I doing this? Can't I just go down here? Here it draws the... where does it draw the block? Am I blind? Oh no, it doesn't draw the block anymore because it just draws the whole tile map. It's just one texture, but it does go through all of them and get direct. So... but then I want to draw these are the lines around it. I want to draw these after it has drawn this. Oh well, it's so I will just do this. It's very few tiles. I can just repeat this process twice, and then I draw the texture. The source rect is the checker texture, and then we just draw it straight into this R here, and then nothing compiles. Oh, NX and NY is not defined yet. This is just the number of tiles, width and height wise. Can move that up there. Bloop. Why does this say tileset? It drew the tileset as background instead of the checker texture. Boop, there you go. That's what I wanted to see. This is funny. I think it's drawing one too many. It's supposed to be like that. Because I saw there was an extra tile down here. Oh well. So that's good. But... okay, now it's hard. I need to change this outline color, but whatever. It's hard to see now, the gray thing. I can do it. It's called hover. Tile background hover. Let's make it like 200, 200. Is this yellow? Yes, this is. Or let's just make it red. Red. Yeah, that I can see almost all the time. When you select it, becomes green. Maybe that green should be a bit stronger also. Just everything is got a bit harder to see, which is the checker texture. Like, well, it's easier to see what these look like, but it's harder to see the outlines because the checker texture is bright. Maybe I should make a checker texture a bit darker or something. I've copied this checker texture from Aseprite, so it's the same one I used when I was drawing them in Aseprite, which is sort of. Otherwise, I think everything looks wrong. Anyways, that works. There was just one thing here that I was gonna fix. Oh yeah, now I remember. The only thing here is I think this is the number of tiles in X, and this is a constant set to 4. This thing though, tileset.height divided by tile height. Does it really need to do that? Yeah, because it doesn't know how big I have no fixed size for the tiles. It's probably fine. Leave it like that. All right. That's... oh. Isn't it supposed to... it's supposed to zoom correctly. Why didn't it... the game is supposed to get more zoomed in when I maximize it. Doesn't. Okay, that's the last bug I'm gonna fix. Why doesn't that happen? So this happens, and this looks wrong because, I mean, this is almost the same aspect ratio as this, and in this case this stuff is here, and now it just has the wrong zoom. Okay, when does it get the default camera zoom? Okay, here's a problem. It doesn't, this code has disappeared somehow. It needs to in play mode update. The first thing it needs to do is to be like, the camera zoom needs to be, here you go. It just now updates it all the time, because the camera zoom checks how big is my screen relative to, I say 128 is my reference for how tall it should be. So now these two look almost identical. But of course, if you just change the width, currently it stays the same. But if you change the height, then it's zoomed, then it makes sure, yeah, to keep everything inside. Okay, that's good. Until next stream, I will probably work a bit on, I'll work on making the layer stuff, so I can, it will be a bit more, I will make it a bit more obvious which layer you're currently looking at, which layer you're editing, so that you can easily work in one layer, because I have these things that's supposed to be like show all layers, or show only the current layers and those behind, or only the current one, and then I want editing stuff to sort of work with that as well, so I can add and delete stuff only in the current layer. And when I've done that, then I can paint in, like, then I can have a little bridge here and paint in making these tiles for the waterfall, paint those in, and then I will think about this animated big thing here. When I've got some of the animation in, then I will think about making some kind of interactable thing to talk to the face in the waterfall. Right. But yeah, that's it for today, I think. Yeah. So now I will press the button that ends it all. Go here.